Hello everyone, it's Mihir at London Vegan Travel and I'm here at London Heathrow Terminal 2. I'm flying Singapore Airlines today, business class on the Airbus A380 to Singapore. In a moment we'll look at the lounge and the flight, but before we do, it's worth knowing that Singapore has restricted UK passengers from entering their lounge at Singapore. This is just a temporary measure while Europe deals with the Omicron spike, so do check the latest update when you travel. Here is a quick look at the designated waiting area in Singapore. It is very quiet and there is a small shop serving tea, coffee and snacks. So, let's take a look at the Singapore Airlines lounge located in Terminal 2 at London Heathrow. Once you've been granted access to the lounge, on the right there is a small area with seating and coffee making facilities. On the left you've got a bigger lounge with plenty of seating options, but note a lot of the power plugs and USB charging points are currently not working, so do look carefully. All the seating here on the right, the plugs I believe are working, and further down, which I'll show you in a bit. There are plenty different seating options to choose from. You've got these nice comfortable chairs on the right. You've got these higher chairs on the left, which are a bit of a bar style. You've got some sofas, which I'll show you in just a moment. Further down this corridor, on the right is the toilets and showers, but the shower is currently unavailable due to the pandemic. Again, some more seating options, and you'll note here that there are USB charging points with universal power plugs. There's also an extra tea coffee making facilities over on this side of the lounge as well as the other side. They do have an alcoholic bar which opens at 8 AM and this operates until the lounge closes. The selection of drinks is okay, but there was no champagne. And when I asked the staff, they think it's down to cost cutting, which is quite surprising for Singapore Airlines given its reputation. There is also another fridge at the other side with beers and the soft drinks where the food is kept, and I think you can access the beers before 8 AM. Here's a quick look at all the breakfast items available as I visited the lounge around 7:30 AM. All the good seats next to the window were taken, but I managed to find one. It didn't have the greatest view, but it will do. From the photos you can see that there wasn't much vegan options, so I asked the chef to make me a special dish. I had some noodles with stir-fry vegetables and tofu. It wasn't great, so I ate a little bit. I also had some bar snacks, which was Bombay mix, peanuts and I think broad beans. I had also a coffee with soya milk. It was now time for boarding, so I headed to the gate. At the gate it looks like there's a lot of people boarding the plane, but remember this is the A380, the largest passenger aircraft, so actually in my view it wasn't that busy. I was welcomed on board and taken to my seat, which is 93A. Let's now look at the seat in a bit more detail. It's quite private, it's got a good size in-flight entertainment screen. On the right there's a cup holder, and on the left you got a little area which contains your immunity kit, headphones and a water bottle. Seat controls are on the left. Above there's a mirror and also a remote to control your IFE. I tried to get the remote out using this button on the right, but I couldn't manage it at all. On the left of the mirror is this reading light. It has about 4 or 5 brightness options. You simply turn the knob around to select your brightness option. Just under and to the left of the IFE is your bedding and blanket. This is also the area where your feet will go when you are in bed mode. The cushion is plumpy and great as a pillow. To the side of your head you have a privacy partition. It's fixed so it can't be moved, but it is fairly private. You also have some fixed armrests on both sides of the seat. On the left of the IFE screen you have this mini storage space which can be used for phones and passport. And under the seat in front of you, you have a space for storing your shoes. My feet were boiling and I just wanted the aircraft to take off so that I could swap my shoes for the comfortable slippers. There were no drinks served pre-takeoff. No water, no juice, no champagne. As soon as the plane took off, I took my shoes off and swapped them for the slippers and had a glass of champagne. After just one glass of champagne and the drinks I had in the lounge, my bladder was bursting, so I had to go to the washroom, and here it is. It's nice and clean and it has the basic amenities, but in this drawer they also have toothbrushes, which is something I like. I would describe this washroom as probably a standard economy size. It's small, and when I turn around, my legs do brush against the bowl of the toilet, which is something I really don't like and try to avoid as much as possible. It had a nice little flower in the corner, and as usual you have a coat hook on the back of the door. And lastly, in addition to the standard mirror, there is also a full-size mirror. After emptying my bladder, I was getting thirsty again, so I thought I'd have a look at what drinks are on offer. Unfortunately, the menus are accessed online. The crew and I spent about 30 minutes trying to access these menus online, but it just would not work no matter what we tried, which was quite frustrating. The crew eventually did give me a paper copy of the food menu, but there was no physical version available for the drinks. Instead of accessing these online, I would suggest that they include this on the IFE, as the screen would be larger and there would be no issues in accessing the menus. Wi-Fi is available on selected aircrafts. I didn't actually need to use it, so I didn't but it is, I believe, complimentary for KrisFlyer members for up to 2 hours. I had pre-arranged vegan meals, but for your reference, here are the paper menus. If you have flown Singapore Airlines and also had problems accessing the menu digitally, please let me know if you managed to resolve the issue and how you did it. The Director of Food and Beverage at Singapore Airlines mentioned that they plan on introducing and trialling a dine-on-demand service in their business class product in early 2020. Whether this is actually in place, I don't know. My appetizers arrived unexpectedly, so whilst they were hot, I opted to eat them and asked the crew if I could delay my main meal for a couple of hours. The crew were very helpful and asked me when I would like to eat my main meal, and then arranged it accordingly. My appetizers were mixed peppers with mushroom and tomato on skewers, and it was delicious. After finishing the appetizer, I wanted to flick through the IFE and see what movies and TV programs were available. I was really hoping that they had James Bond, as I couldn't see it in the cinema, only having 1% of vision. The headphones were good quality, and I think are noise cancelling, as I could only hear the engine once I had them on. As I got into the movie, they started dimming the cabin lights, so I thought I'd better eat now, and so asked the crew to bring my food. On Singapore Airlines, you can use something called Book the Cook. It's a service that you book online prior to checking in. There's a selection of gourmet dishes to choose from, but if you are vegan, there's almost nothing you can eat. In fact, there was nothing on the menu I could eat. There was one vegetarian option, but the rest consisted of meat. This meal wasn't anything special. It consisted of a main course made up of mushroom curry, rice, and some Chinese vegetable. There was also 2 bowls of fruit, a bread roll, and another pot which had a mixture of fruit and salad. I had a glass of red wine, a French Bordeaux, to accompany my meal. The main curry was a mushroom curry with rice. I would say it's okay, nothing amazing. But what was disappointing was that there was no real dessert other than these 2 bowls of fruit. I would have expected something a bit more creative from Singapore Airlines. So I had the fruit, and then I had a Cavossier VSOP with some nuts and potato crisps. When travelling business class, most airlines will provide you with an amenity kit waiting for you at your seat. I didn't find one on this occasion, but I did see this package. This package was a care kit containing 1 disinfectant wipe, a mask, and a hand sanitizer bottle. I can't sleep on flights, but I was starting to get tired, and I thought hopefully this time it might be different, so I asked the crew to make up my bed. I noticed nearby there was an empty middle seat, so I took the opportunity to look at the legroom. I was shocked. It was almost the width of the entire seat. This was much better than what I had, but obviously no window. If you like sleeping on your left side, There is space to bend your knees as long as you select a seat in the column A. My seat was 93A. If I sleep on my right in this seat, it is a bit restricted, so you would need to select a seat in the K column. As described earlier, your feet rest in an area which is located under and to the left of the IFE screen where your bedding was stored. It's not very comfortable, it means you're sleeping at an angle. Recently I've found most airlines serving the second meal almost last minute, just before you land, and this was no exception. Breakfast is served around about 1.5 hours before landing. Whilst this doesn't leave a lot of time for you to do your bits and pieces after your meal, if you know what I mean, the meal was delicious. It was like a pad thai with tofu. It was served with a bowl of fruit, a bread roll, and to my surprise, a strawberry soya yogurt. How did they know my favourite flavour was strawberry? Whilst you see me make a complete mess of eating these noodles, which I really struggle with, I want to say that this pad thai dish, or whatever it was, it had tofu, some noodles and bean sprouts. It was so delicious and quite filling, and I actually wished I had some more. We were now approaching Singapore. The captain asked the cabin crew to prepare for landing. The crew hurriedly gave out these amenity kits, which were quite basic. They consisted of lip balm, facial mist and hand lotion. It was very basic. The seatbelt sign would imminently come on, so I quickly asked the crew if I could have a second glass of Courvoisier VSOP before starting to put my shoes on and preparing for landing. The flight was due to land at 7:45, which meant at some point we'd get these lovely views of the sunrise. I love looking at the different patterns and colours of the sky. Whilst we appreciate the views from the aircraft landing, let me take this opportunity to summarise the flight. And I'm going to start with a topic which I haven't talked about at all yet, which is the service. The crew are so friendly and so helpful. They are so happy to do their jobs and they do an amazing job. The crew get 5 out of 5. The food is not bad. It could be better for a vegan. If you're not vegan and you can eat meat, then you have a lot of choice, and you can also use the pre-book the cook service. The fact that you couldn't access the menus digitally and they didn't have a paper copy, that wasn't very good. In terms of the washrooms are quite small, and to me they are quite similar to standard economy size washrooms. This is again a little bit disappointing. You might have seen my review of British Airways recently, and at least they had a slightly bigger toilet. The seat itself is comfortable. When you are sitting, it's quite private and quite comfortable, but if you change that to bed mode, it is quite restrictive, and where your feet are positioned does restrict you from having a good sleep, unless you're one of these people who like to bend your knees. The in-flight entertainment has plenty of options to choose from. I like comedies, so I watched Family Guy and The Big Bang Theory. I like a Big Bang. No, I don't mean joining the Mile High Club. I also wanted to watch the new James Bond movie and was hoping it would be available. As this wasn't available on the new British Airways business class, which I flew recently, I didn't have high hopes. But to my surprise and delight, it was available. And that really pleased me because, being registered blind with only 1% vision, I wasn't able to see it in the cinema, but I got to watch it on the flight, which also killed a good few hours. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Join me in my next review, where I'll be reviewing the Airbus A350-900 Singapore Airlines business class, and also their Boeing 777-300 business class. So hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell and select all, so that you don't miss any of the next videos coming out. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and have a nice day.